And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host, Jonathan. Once again, bringing you my thoughts and review for tonight's episode of DC's and CW's Superman and Lois, Season 3, Episode 5. Now, spoiler alert if you have not seen this episode or caught up at all, so let's talk about it. So, as we all know, Lois Lane is dealing with breast cancer. And when it comes to Lois Lane, staying still, it's very, very difficult for her to stay still. Especially if she's getting her treatment from one of the bad guys she's trying to stick her nose into and potentially maybe in jeopardizing herself. Like she always does. So, that's what we have. Lois Lane's going to chemo where Mannheim has a clinic that he opened up for people who have cancer. And, like I said before, Lois Lane being Lois Lane, she decides to just stick her nose where it doesn't belong, of course, like she always does. And, we have poor Clark, as he is Superman, he can pretty much do anything. Unfortunately, at this point of his life, he can't figure out what he can do for Lois, besides just be there and support her throughout this entire dilemma that she has. While that's happening, you have the boys and, of course, the girls as well, all of them getting ready for their school dance. Their school had some issues, so they have to go to a local gym to have their dance. So, they're just doing their, typical high school stuff. So that's pretty interesting. We got to see some kind of bad guy from Enter Gang who shows up at the DOE to pretty much get some information about certain properties that the government has. So they send this one guy who has the power to pretty much phase through anything. He can phase through walls, phase through anything, phase himself, so that way Superman can't fight him. We got a little bit of a scuff between him and Superman. He had a kryptonite little knife, tried to stab Superman. Of course, he heals faster than he can get damaged, especially with a small kryptonite knife. So that was kind of cool. Visual effect looked really well, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't as strong as like last week's episode or the week after's episode, but still a fun episode. I mean, listen, this show is just getting better as it gets along. It kind of reminds me of Smallville a little bit too. It reminded me of Smallville because in Smallville we got to see Clark's journey through, teenager and to how he becomes Superman. Now we're at a point here at Superman and Lois where he has a family. What does that mean for him? He's got a superpower son. He's got one son who's, doesn't have powers, dealing with relationships, and he might become a firefighter because he got offered a job as a volunteer, so that's something. His girlfriend's moving like 4 counties away from him, so he's going to be dealing with that. We also got to see Natalie have somewhat of maybe a spark of a relationship. The boy who she met at that party one time shows up in Smallville. Of course, General Lang suspects he might be trouble. I'm suspecting that kid might be, Mannheim's son, but anything's possible. You never know, or even nephew. So there's that. So he just shows up out of nowhere just to be the love interest. Yeah, I'm not buying it because when he shows up, he's like, "Oh yeah. I wanted to see you, get your number, this and that." I'm starting to believe he's actually Mannheim's kid, and he's gonna be revealed as a big bad later on. But only time will tell. But yeah. We also got to see the fact that the big ending reveal is that the Mannheim, we all know that Mannheim is giving Superman's blood to people to give them powers. And now he's stolen something that might be a big threat for Superman down the road, and that's the body of the Mirror Superman, or the Bizarro Superman, or whatever you want to call him. Apparently the government had him. He's dead. They're probably going to bring him back to take out Superman, but we have to wait and see. I mean, it's going to be on a break for a little bit, but man, seeing Bizarro Superman come back, maybe more Bizarro-ish than he was in, the last season, but that'd be kind of cool. I also have that theory that Lois Lane is going to get powers in this season, and that's going to get rid of her cancer for good, so there's that. I think Mannheim is going to do something to her Either she's gonna stick her nose where it doesn't belong in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of situation, and then she's gonna either get drugged by him so that way she can go after Superman, maybe kind of like mind control or something, or she's gonna do it to herself, so that way Superman's blood heals her for the kryptonite. I mean, throughout the cancer. That's my theory. I think those are the two possibilities I see happening. Lois either gets forced to have powers, and then she has to force to fight Superman, and then later on, when she snaps out of it or whatever it is, she'll find out she's cancer free. Two, she finds out, she can use the blood herself, and she's going to inject herself, and then or the formula they use to make the blood, to make the potions, to make a superhero, she's going to get the powers, and then she's going to be cancer free. Either way, she's going to be cancer free, regardless. That's just my theory. I mean, I have nothing based on it. It's just, I feel like there's no way Lois Lane will, I mean, she could, it's possible. I just don't see Lois Lane keeping cancer throughout this season and then eventually dying. Because if we get a 4th season, maybe in a 5th season, I just don't see them getting rid of Lois Lane that easily. I mean, they can. I just feel like Lois Lane will do something to make sure she doesn't have cancer. And what's the best way to do it? Give her some powers. Or they do it for her, and then she gets the powers, and then she's cancer-free afterwards. Because once Superman, if Superman ever had cancer, it would be gone in like 5 seconds. So there's that. But anything's possible. I'm just taking guesses here, but I could be wrong. Who knows? But it is fun to think about. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Stay tuned for more. And thank you very much, and have a good night.